Gemma, if the hardest part of running isn't the race, but continuing after disappointment, what keeps someone coming back?
I think the discipline in doing something healthy for your body and most importantly for your mind.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, let's get into it.
One song, yes,
Welcome to Sideline Society. I'm Melanie here with my co-host Gemma. And let me tell you about Gemma. You're going to fall in love with her once you hear her open up a little bit more. But Gemma and I have kids who go to the same school and we've worked together and we just have such a fondness and love for each other, go on fantastic walks. And that's Gemma to me. And she's going to be awesome for all of you.
Thank you
Okay.
for
So
having
Gemma,
me.
of course, of course. So this is where we go beyond the scoreboard and into the stories and the people that make sports so much more than what you see on the surface. So first up is the kickoff. It is our weekly breakdown of the moments that had the sports world talking. Here's what went down. Okay. The top 10 junior Isaiah Hill committed to Purdue on Friday, becoming the highest ranked prospect to commit to the Boilermakers since the ESPN recruiting database began in 2007. So this is for basketball. He said that Purdue has been recruiting him since the 8th grade. Yeah. So I think that's kind of weird, I guess. I don't know. And as an 8th grade, I think of our children who are 8th graders and having a college following them and trying to recruit them feels like a lot.
Yeah,
Um, I
it's a
don't know.
lot for them, I'd
Maybe
say
the
that. But I think it
yeah.
happens. I know it happens. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
I
this is a prime example, but maybe it's, I don't know, maybe is it more common in basketball and maybe more common in football or just common and we're just not, our kids aren't being recruited in 8th grade?
guess not. Yours should be. I don't know about mine. But yeah, no, I did some consulting for a basketball athletic wear company last year, and we sponsored 8th graders. Yeah,
Wow.
to do campaigns for us because they were that good, and they were on the trajectory to make it big.
Wow. Wow. I mean, yeah, that feels like an awesome experience, but then it also feels kind of like a lot of pressure. But he
Yeah,
did say, I am thankful for them and the people at the school. The coaches are very supportive on and off the court. And Purdue is a great school academically. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, 8th
yeah.
grade, good Lord.
I know it's gonna get younger and younger. You watch.
Yeah, I know. You're going to like give your firstborn over to someone and just be like, make a star. Here you go. Do all the work
Right?
every week. Okay, so there was a private lunch with Stephen Curry, Aisha Curry, and legendary investor Warren Buffett, which just sold for more than $9 million in an eBay charity auction. The winning bidder gets to bring 7 guests to a private lunch in Omaha later this summer, with proceeds benefiting the Glide Foundation and the Curry's Eat, Learn, Play charity supporting kids in Oakland. In classic Warren Buffett fashion, he announced he'll personally match the winning bid, turning the lunch into nearly $27 million for charity.
I love it. I
Yeah.
absolutely love it. Yeah.
I just, okay, I feel like there's so many different places for auctions. I don't know why this came to the forefront of my mind. Like Sotheby's, I feel like there's a lot of auctions there, but like apparently eBay can do high volume auctions, I guess. But the fact that I guess this blows my mind and I've never been to Omaha, so I can't really say anything bad about Omaha, but I would think that what's in Omaha that they are having this dinner. I
I
mean,
think
steaks.
Buffett's in Omaha. Isn't he
Oh,
in
is that where
Omaha?
he lives?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
he's like, "I'll pay, but you come to me."
exactly.
Maybe the
And I'll match the largest donation, which I love. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, well, then I guess that makes sense. I thought Omaha, I think of Peyton Manning and steaks, so maybe Warren Buffett needs to be on that top 3 list.
Yeah.
for
Now
knowledge.
you're thinking about him for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So Ronda Rousey's return to MMA was this weekend, and it felt like a time machine for fight fans, but the numbers behind the event were almost as wild. So I guess the fight was 17 seconds long. Gina Carano, who returned after a 17-year absence and a 100-pound weight loss journey, 100-pound weight loss journey, stepped into the cage with a 9-pound fight night advantage over Rousey. And if I'm saying her, Ronda Rousey, Rousey, I think it's Rousey, despite weighing in nearly even the day before. Meanwhile, one fighter on the card reportedly rehydrated by a staggering 27 pounds overnight.
No.
Yeah, just
That's wild.
yes.
How does one do that?
I mean, I don't know. Just by rehydrating.
Yeah.
I
Go
just that
figure.
is yeah. Well, I think a lot of people are kind of upset that it literally only lasted 17 seconds. This is, I guess, Ronda's ending what some people say is officially the final fight of her career. But I don't know. I think shouldn't you kind of extend it a little bit longer? I mean, people are paying pay-per-view money for this, and 17 seconds. I don't know. That just feels
Maybe they were mismatched.
yeah. I mean, 100-pound weight loss to get to this point, and then you get knocked out or whatever in 17 seconds. I don't know. I guess I don't know. I don't think I'd be pissed. I don't know.
I'd reevaluate. Put it that way. I'd do some reevaluation. That's for sure. I don't know. That was my initial thought. I was like, 17 seconds. Imagine if you paid to actually go and be there and watch it. That would be wild.
I would be, I mean, I guess that's kind of the gamble you make by going to these things, because that, if you're the winner, you're like, sweet, I'm awesome, 17 seconds. And I mean, I don't know if I could have lasted. I don't know if MMA is like boxing. I think, isn't boxing 12 rounds? Is MMA 12 rounds?
I have no idea, but I know it's like all different types of fighting, right?
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
for sure.
There's blood everywhere. It's not my jam. I'm a lover, not a fighter. And that's, I mean, in that aspect of it. Yeah. And then, okay, I'm going to finish this off. This has kind of been on my radar, and I just have been waiting for a time to be able to bring this up. This happened a few weeks ago, but I just think this was something that I thought was fun. A rock, paper, scissors tournament was held in New Jersey, and it drew hundreds of competitors battling for a $10,000 prize in a full bracket style showdown. What seems like pure luck turned into a mix of strategy. And the gentleman that won, his name was Julio Rivera. He's a vet tech who said he mostly just went with his gut. So I started to I was doing some research on this, and I couldn't find out what the winning thing was. Was it scissors over paper? I couldn't find what it was that had this guy win. But the fact that this is even a thing that people travel to, I thought was really quite awesome. I'm terrible. Are you? Do you?
No, I'm brilliant at it. I win
you?
every time with my kids. I challenge them every time. I think it is that mini split second of seeing what they're going to do and go for the other one. I think that's the strategy. Is you're going to be quick with feeling what the other person is going to do.
Okay. Gemma, I am challenging you to a game of rock, paper, scissors right now.
Okay, let's go. You put me on. Let's go.
Now I'm going to see. Okay.
Okay, ready?
All right, ready?
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
See? So maybe no. It only works with children, apparently. I can only beat children.
Well, if I find out what he won with, I'll let you know. But that's where we're at.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. It's kind of, I would put it next to what's his name, the Joey guy who eats all the hot dogs for the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Although you're not getting sick doing rock, paper, scissors. So I think you win on that one.
I think everybody probably on the edge of their seats waiting to see who would win the rock, paper, scissors tournament.
I mean, I don't know. I might,
Can't say it's not a good time, that's for sure.
I just wonder how long it lasts for. Like, is it like an hour long because it's so quick, or people like
Maybe longer
need a
than
break?
17 seconds.
Probably. Maybe they put them out in the heat, get them hot and bothered, and they can't think, and you know, putting them somewhere to
Is it
make
rock? Is it scissors? Is it
sweat in
paper?
their eye. I
Bird?
can't tell.
Plane? Which one is it?
Are we doing a bomb? Okay. Well, before we get into our guests, I'm going to do a flag on the play. So, my flag is about the 2026 PGA Championship, in which John Ram hit a poor approach shot out of the rough and let his frustration get the best of him. And I know I'm saying his name wrong. Anything having to do with golf, I just seem to screw up. And my husband does listen to all of these, but I haven't gotten the finger wag of not being able to pronounce names or know some of these. So maybe he thinks it's endearing, but his name is Ram. Ram, Rahm. Ram took an angry swing so he hit a poor shot, took an angry swing at the grass, accidentally launching a divot into the face and shoulder of a nearby volunteer. Could you imagine? And he said that he knew immediately that he messed up. I mean, I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting in that with golf, you really have to keep your cool, but there's definitely moments where you see some people lose their mind and like hit their club. And those things are expensive. Clubs are really expensive. And for you to, I mean, if you're making a buttload of money, I guess you have the ability to trash one, but they're not cheap. And I've seen people definitely take their frustrations out on their club and it ends up mangled. And then I don't know. What do you do with the rest of, I guess you have backups with backups? I don't know.
Call the caddy.
Yeah. Well, you hope the caddy, I mean, hopefully that's what they're getting paid for is, your player and they lose their shit sometimes and they've got backups and they're like, okay, I got you. Don't worry.
Happy
Your
Gilmore.
third,
He's a Happy Gilmore.
it's your third one you've lost your mind on. So I've got a whole plethora in my car. After the round, he said that the moment was inexcusable, saying he couldn't feel any worse and even wanted to track the volunteer down personally to apologize and make it right. What made the moment interesting wasn't just the outburst, it was the honesty afterward. In a sport built around composure, even the best players still have flashes where emotions take over. So at least he apologized and, tried to find the guy.
Yeah.
I wonder if the volunteer kept the thing that hit him in the face.
I don't know why. I was going with like I don't even know, a toupee situation.
Just hold on to it, make a mustache.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could do anything with it, really.
Yeah, but hold on to it.
Yeah. I mean, wasn't that the whole premise behind Happy Gilmore? He'd get really angry, but then he was very good at the game by taking his anger out on the ball.
He was a hockey player.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So he didn't know his etiquette in hockey is a little bit different than in golf.
Yeah.
All right, Miss Gemma, what is your flag on the play?
Well, my flag on the play is, as you know, I grew up in England and my mom is from Scotland and they have these two teams there in Scotland, the Celtics and the Rangers, and they've always won. They've always won for 40 years. The whole of Scotland, the Celtics and the Rangers, either one of them have always won. And it's religious. It's, it goes back generations upon generations. Okay. You're not allowed to go and drink in a Celtics bar, put it that way. At home. Yeah, it's bad. So for the first time in 40 years, this other team called the Hearts actually were going to win in this final. And
what sport is
this? This is soccer.
Okay, that's okay. I mean,
what sport is that? No, I'm just kidding. I'm only kidding. It's a joke. Anyway, so they go to the play, review this play on the VAR, and whoever made the call, they said, nope, it was the Celtics win. So a big uproar in Scotland after 40 years. But, it puts up for discussion. You put so much in the hands of these people reviewing the tapes, and everyone sees it now that it's televised and played back and a whole a whole country of emotion there over one goal.
Yeah. What team did you root for?
I don't root for any team, but I was raised as a Ranger. Yeah, but
Well, at least it wasn't part of the Rangers that
yeah,
had this whole thing went down.
stay out
Celtics
of
and
controversy with no drama.
that's good. Keeping it classy, Rangers, unlike those Celtics over there.
Yeah, they're wild.
Interesting. Well, I mean that's the whole thing too is VAR. I don't know how I feel about that might be my next thing is VAR, but I'll just get on that bandwagon now. Not bandwagon, I'll just get on that hill. I just think VAR, I don't know. I mean, there's always going to be human mistakes and I think that's kind of the thing with the game. There's definitely games that you're playing and the ref is terrible and you're almost playing against the ref and you know they're making horrible calls and we've all been through that before. So it's kind of like, yes, sometimes being held accountable and having the VAR and everything, but I also think that it's like the stoppage time with them waiting and to go over and look at it, discuss it, and then come back. And, it's like momentum for whatever team kind of goes down. And I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of VAR, but I don't know. I guess that's just where we're at. Technology is crazy. And
Yeah,
we're just relying upon that.
yes. Yeah, I mean, it definitely caused an uproar, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're not a Celtic then.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I've been getting a lot of heat, so that's for sure. But it was sad, it's sad for this other team that's,
Yeah.
worked to break the 40-year, run if that
Hmm.
happens. So, yeah,
To be continued. I'm kind of curious how it plays out next time.
we'll see. We'll see.
It's going to be an uproar.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Miss Gemma, now that the flags have been thrown, let's get into the good stuff. My guest today is Cooper Teare, a national champion, collegiate record holder, and one of the top middle and long distance runners in U.S. history. His journey goes beyond times and titles, exploring what it looks like to face setbacks, stay in it, and keep redefining what success means. Here's our conversation. From playing every other sport to running faster than nearly anyone in the country, Cooper Teare's journey is proof that you can start anywhere, and even beginners can find joy in running. Hi, Cooper. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. I know you're busy over in Virginia, so hopefully this is a recovery time for you.
Yes, this is definitely my chill time, so it's great to fill it with something a little more
Yeah.
fulfilling than staring at my phone or whatever.
You get to stare at me for an hour, so you're welcome.
Sweet.
Awesome. Okay, so you didn't start as the runner, but you played soccer and lacrosse at first. For someone listening who thinks I'm not built to run, what would you say made you realize that running was your thing?
Yeah, running kind of ended up being the common ground of all those other sports I ended up, playing as a child that was just kind of thrown into because friends did it or whatever it might be. And it's one of those things that I think people don't realize it takes the maybe like the hand-eye coordination and like the real skill sets out of a lot of sports, and it kind of takes really the foundational like fundamental part of it, which is like the grit and the determination. And when it comes down to it, the great thing about it is it's on you how well you want to do. It's kind of up to you if you want to really commit to it, and you truly get out what you put into the sport, which I always loved. I felt like playing a lot of other sports growing up, I really found myself kind of playing a comparison game, and that can be hard. I was always good, but I was never great. And in the Bay Area there was so many great athletes, and a lot of my really best friends were those great athletes. And so I loved being out there with them, but a lot of times it was hard to, I feel like maybe I was pulling my weight, or, I was on the same trajectory as some of my other friends, because not that I didn't have the skills, but I just hadn't really cultivated them. And yeah, like the one thing that I found was kind of middle ground for everything was running. And that was something that I knew I could work on myself, and I didn't have to, rely on someone else to pass me a ball or do whatever it might be. So I really found some sanctity in that. And yeah, it ended up just kind of being that thing that that carried me farther and farther. And, the other sports ended up kind of just dropping off
Yeah.
in that way. So
Yeah. Would you say that for someone who's doing a single solo type sport, let's say, tennis and what have you, do you think it takes a different kind of mentality to be able to not completely be so hard on yourself, but also kind of keep yourself going and motivated? Because obviously you can be like, well, that guy didn't pass me the ball and he sucked and whatever. You can kind of blame other people, but when it's truly yourself, do you think you have to have kind of a stronger mentality to be able to fight through that?
totally, yeah. In the same way that, you can blame other people for things, you also can't attribute all the success to yourself when things go right in kind of those team sports. And I think that is a place where kind of those individual sports, you really get like the satisfaction of, achieving your goals and things like that. But yeah, it can be hard to kind of fight through maybe some of the hard days. It's not every day is going to come easy, no matter, if you're a seasoned veteran or it's your first day. Like a lot of that comes down to you. And I think the biggest thing is just like the commitment to it. And that's, I think, one of the hardest things to do. And it definitely does take a different kind of mindset. Like, especially I would say in something like running, that's not necessarily something that just comes so fast. Like, you're not really seeing every single day improvement. Like, it's a game of consistency. And like, I attribute what I do this year to stuff I was doing in high school and college, because it all does build on itself. And it's really hard to have that kind of like zoomed out long term view. But in that way, I think it's also a lot more gratifying. But
Mm.
yeah, to the people wanting to do it, like it all does kind of start with one step. And yeah, it's hard to kind of maybe picture a race even 2 or 3 months out, but it's totally worth it. And like the journey you'll find looking back, even if you don't feel it right in the moment, like it is so gratifying. So
Yeah. Did
takes a
you
lot.
Yeah. What do you feel, were your parents there to kind of on days where you're like, "Oh god, I can't. I don't have it." Or did you have somebody who kind of kept you accountable of, "Okay, we're running, doing this," and keeping you motivated?
Yeah, I think like one of the biggest things was just having a really good team around me. And that's like not just my actual teammates, but yeah, like my parents and my coaches and everything. And there are days where you don't feel like, I want to do this. Like it's not always the most fun thing ever, but I think people who you've kind of built this relationship with where you've expressed what you want to do, you express the places you want to go, and they hold you accountable to doing that. And I felt really grateful, especially like in high school. I had really great coaches who saw the potential, even, in times that I didn't see it. My family were so supportive, and in that way, they didn't make me do anything, but they pushed me to be the best I could be in anything that I did. So yeah, that was like a super fundamental part of, you know, building a career and building on this sport that I love internally, but doesn't
Mhm.
always love you back. So it's great
Mhm.
to have people there to like really help you.
Yeah. Yeah. I've gotten back into running and I feel personally it's kind of a drudge right now, just trying to be like, oh my gosh, like, thinking back of when I would, run a 5K or a 10K. And then now I'm like, oh my gosh, like, how do I keep getting one foot in front of another? And it's just, yeah, I think that for me personally is the hard part because it's just me, myself, and I. And so it's like, constantly telling myself, like, don't turn around, don't turn around, just keep going.
I totally get that. And that's the name of the game, really. Like, it's not giving up on yourself and not, committing to something like that. And I feel like today there's so many, like, you see so much stuff on social media, people running marathons, like, that's kind of the standard. But I think people forget that, like, getting out and running a mile is a huge accomplishment for
Mhm.
anyone. And um, then you build to a 5K or a 10K or whatever it is. Like, everyone has their own journey. And like I said earlier, like, you'll get out of it what you put into it. And
Right.
even just like mentally being able to be like, you know what, I'll go just a little bit farther. I can do a
Yeah.
little bit more. Like, those small, like, kind of micro movements that you do and, thoughts that you have, like, make all the difference in the long term. So,
Yeah.
no, it's
Yeah.
impressive and it's hard and it's not easy. Like, I feel the same way. Like, at any level, everyone's going to feel that way.
Oh,
But
good. Okay. Not
yeah,
just
yeah.
good. Okay. That makes me feel better. I would say, okay, so your grandfather was a state champion runner. Do you feel
Yes.
that that ability is inherited, or do you feel like it's just kind of like, "Oh, look at my grandpa did this and it's great that I can too."
Yeah, I definitely think there's a certain amount of like genetics that help. And I know that like, yeah, I mean, that's just like a crazy piece of history that I think is super inspiring for me. And like knowing that like I'm kind of living that on in my own way, like that I'm sure was a crazy, crazy thing to do in 1950. And my dad ran a little bit before he got injured in high school. And so I think we do definitely have kind of that foundation of, a pretty athletic family. And
Yeah.
I feel like I'm kind of maybe finding the limits of that, which is really cool. You know, my grandpa ran in high school, won state, and then, you kind of moved on to the next thing. So it's really cool to be in a position and like a time in the world where this can be a job and this is something that I can, put a couple years towards taking it as far as I can and finding that
Mhm.
limit and like figuring out what I'm truly capable as an athlete of. And so yeah, I definitely think there's some like kind of inherent things that come
Yeah.
along with just having some history in the family, but it's really awesome to be able to take that and run with it and like
Yeah.
maybe
Literally.
I'll set up an even better foundation for my children and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
uh, it's cool. It's very
Yeah.
cool.
Would you say that at your level, and we'll kind of get at what your level means, but is there kind of an age where you age out? Or is it just like if you can keep going until you keep going? And, is there kind of a level like you go to the Olympics or you go to what have you? Is there kind of a point?
Yeah, definitely. And it's very different for a lot of different people. I think kind of like for guys, it's pretty, unless you're like going up to something like the marathon, like running on the track is pretty short lived. And, you can maybe, if you're running well at 35, like you're definitely kind of an outlier. And, you can run marathons till you're, 40 or maybe
Hmm.
even older. But yeah, there is like a very kind of tight competitive timeline to be able to like you kind of hit your peak years between 25 and 29 for males and 28 to 32 for females. So
Oh, interesting.
there's definitely just physiologically, you're going to lose some of that fast twitch. You're going to, you can always build your aerobic system, but yeah, there's a timeline. And so being all into what you're doing and giving it everything you have is kind of the only option when you're in the position to be able to do this, especially for a living, because
Hmm.
it is so short lived. And my kind of approach towards it is like, there are times where you get some FOMO, people are doing other things, they're going
Hmm.
skiing, they're going to concerts, just doing all this, and you definitely have to be in more of a serious mode, but,
Yeah.
I have the rest of my life to do that once running's done, so it's really a gift to be able to be in this position right now and get to this level, so, yeah, it's hard to kind of see the end, but at the same time, I think there's also a lot of people who drag it out past kind of their glory years, which
Right.
is something that I feel like I'll probably grapple with at some point. But
Right.
I personally would love to like feel like I achieved everything and not have to go on until I can't anymore. Like it would be
Right.
great to have maybe a peaceful exit from the sport rather than a forced one. So
Being dragged out.
yeah, exactly. So it's definitely yeah, everyone has their kind of own journey.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard to say what mine will look like, but
Yeah.
yeah, definitely the clock is kind of always ticking. So
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
be pretty smart about it.
Yeah. That makes sense. So you ran 500 miles one summer in high school,
That sounds right.
which I mean, maybe that's normal for how it was, which sounds completely exhausting to me. How would you explain that workload to someone just starting out? I mean, how do you how do you run 500 miles in that amount of time? You just run, Forest Run?
Kinda. I mean, it really is like, especially in high school, I didn't even think twice about it. I was having the time of my life going out and running with my teammates who are also my best friends. You're probably doing 10 weeks of running, 50 miles a week, pretty easy math.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, you have your easy days, you have your workout days, and some days you're going to run 3 miles and some days you're going to run 13. And yeah, it's definitely like I said earlier, a game of consistency and one of those things where you just kind of put your head down and go. It's really easy, I think, to question things and be like, is this working or am I doing the right things? But for
Mhm.
me, it was very much so. I have awesome coaches. They know what they're doing. They've, generated a lot of great athletes over the
Mhm.
last 20 years. So who am I to question that? If they want me to go run 50 miles this week, I'll go run 50 miles this week, and I'll do it next week, and I'll do it the week after that, and
Yeah.
I'll do it all summer, then all fall, then all spring. And yeah, it's one of those things where I'm running kind of a lot more mileage than that now, even.
Mhm.
And it's just kind of what you do, especially
Right.
when you want to be really competitive. You almost have like an urge to do more.
Mhm.
It never feels like quite enough,
Okay.
which is something that's also kind of hard to grapple with. But if you have a good community and good coaches that are telling you you're doing what you need to be doing, yeah,
Mhm.
you go along with that and you feel good about it. So
Yeah.
yeah, 500 miles it's no
No.
joke, but it's kind of just the tip of the iceberg when it comes down to it.
Wow. I feel like driving 500 miles is a lot.
That's also fair though.
Running, I can't even imagine, but, you know, that's amazing. You won state titles and ran a near 4-minute mile in high school. What parts of your training actually matter for performance like that? And what parts do you feel like are overhyped?
Uh, yeah, I'm definitely at the point where you would think that, you really look forward to the days that are easy. You get to just do some easy running and you don't have a workout or anything like that. But I mean, even when I was kind of in high school, like, I got to the point where I hate easy days. I don't want to just go out and run slow because in my mindset, you're not getting anything from that. You probably have 3 days a week where you're working out, where you're doing whether it's speed work, long kind of aerobic work, mile repeats, things like that, uphill running, uphill tempos, things like that. Those are the days that I really enjoy, and I feel like I get such like a it's really quantitative to me, or like you
Mhm.
can tell what's going on, you can tell what you're getting out of it. You can it's kind of a thing where you find some like solace in hurting and
Mhm.
pushing yourself. And so those are the days that really make the athletes, and getting to something like trying to run 4 minutes on the mile, winning a state title is about how many weeks, months, years can you string together these workouts consistently, trying not to get hurt. And yeah, that's kind of what my career ended up being, was just one consistent build towards, from my freshman year to my senior year. I was so incredibly committed to what I was doing. And in that way, I saw really big leaps year to year. I developed more as an athlete, as a person, just as a human coming into my own. And yeah, so going from running 4:30 my freshman year to 4 flat senior year, it wasn't one specific thing, but it's a culmination of being able to do that week in and week out. So yeah, that's really all you can chop it up to.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to come in a month be able to do something that, their competitors have been doing for years. So
Right.
there's really no shortcuts.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you do any strength training? Do you do anything kind of outside of that to kind of offset I don't want to call it mundane, but to kind of do something different to help with building muscle?
Yeah, definitely. We do kind of 2 lifting sessions a week. I've gotten to the point where I'm getting a little bit older and I have to do a lot of rehab and prehab even to, strengthen my muscles. We actually do quite a bit of cross training with the current program that I'm in. I actually just got back from the pool right before this, and we do a lot of cycling as well. So it definitely switches it up, and it keeps you from just having to do a lot of long, slow miles. And it's one of those things where you get to kind of get the same aerobic effort without having to, running is one of the hardest things you can do on your
Mhm.
body. And so being able to get on a bike and not have any impact and not have to, put that stress on your legs is really nice. And you can go 2 hours on the bike where you could maybe only go an hour on running. So we do quite a bit of supplementary work, and kind of like what I was saying, I very much have a hard time with quantifying what that means to me, but I've learned to more or less just trust it and know that
Mhm.
I'm getting something out of it if I'm working hard. So yeah, we do quite a bit of stuff, and even in high school, we were doing a lot of lifting, a lot of core, and a lot of it is building these systems that can be as strong and as efficient as possible. So,
Mhm.
you don't just run with your legs, you run with your hips, you will run with your core, you run with your arms. You have to really kind of build this complete structure rather than just going and doing some miles and some squats.
Right.
it's a lot more calculated than that, and I didn't realize that until I think definitely a lot more recently. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's cool. It's cool to be ever changing and be able to kind of build on these things that I've known forever and see the little pockets where I can improve by 1% because you get to a certain point and 1% is everything over your
Mhm.
competition.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, it's definitely really fun and there's a lot of ways to get to the same endpoint. So it's really kind of up to you and your program and your coach on
Right.
how you want to get there.
Can you explain so you were running the mile in high school. Can you kind of explain your evolution to where you are now and what your favorite? Do you just like to go run a mile and you're like, "Oh, I really love running a mile," or where your favorite is?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's been such a long journey going from, you know, being 16, 17, 18 in high school and being like, I this is awesome. This is all I ever want to do. And then being able to have the great opportunity to go to college and for me run for Oregon, which was one of my lifelong dreams and being able to realize that and work hard enough and want it bad enough to be able to get a professional contract after college as well. And for me it's every day is working towards yeah, running those races and being able to go out and compete. That's kind of the beauty of this sport and being able to push myself. And yeah, I do love to just go run a mile, but I've kind of turned into someone who does quite a lot more. I've really the last like 2 years or so been running the 5K quite a bit. And it's really crazy that like I'm basically running a 5K at the pace I was trying to run a mile at in high school. A lot of it is really like building on itself and yeah, getting stronger and learning your skill set. So for me, I definitely think I'm maybe a little bit better at the longer stuff rather than, shorter stuff like the mile or the 800. But a good athlete, if you want to get a medal at the Olympics in the 5K, you have to be able to get a medal or be very close to getting a medal in the mile or the 10K. There's kind of a swing on both sides. And yeah, you have to be a bit of a jack of all trades. But for me, like all I ever want to do is be able to go out and compete and show myself that I can do it and push myself to that limit. It's really easy to kind of compare yourself to what other people are doing. But
Mhm.
what's the beauty of it is like if you can give your best and feel fulfilled yourself, that's all that kind of really matters at the end of the day. Like getting everything out of yourself and knowing that you've given 100%. So that's
Yeah.
super cool and such a fun aspect of it. And then there are always people to share that with and people to train with and everything.
Mhm.
And I feel like running's catching fire right now. There's such a craze about it, and more people than ever are going out and running every day and setting these lofty goals and wanting to run 5Ks and
Mhm.
marathons and miles and everything in between. So,
Yeah.
it's cool to have a community and get maybe a little bit more, some more eyes on what we're doing.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's really amazing, and it's been such a incredible journey, and I feel like it's made me into such a more like mature and person, and even being able to travel and go to meets all around the world.
Mhm.
That is something that is such a blessing and something that I never really thought about being an aspect of this, but I met so many people internationally and different races that have become some of my best friends. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's such a good community.
Would you say in Oregon, did you start off wanting to run one thing and end up running something different at your freshman year to your senior year? Where is this kind of where you found like I like leaning towards the 5K, or how did Oregon treat you?
Yeah, I mean, I totally thought I was just going to be a miler through and through when I came out of high school. I was like, I think at the time it was like the 10th fastest high school mile ever or something like that when I ran four flat. And I was like, yeah, this is my wheelhouse. This is my bread and butter. And right when I got to college, my coach, I had a meeting with him and my coach at the time was like, I think you're going to break the school record in the 5K by the time you leave here. And I was like, I don't really run the 5K, but okay. And that kind of always stuck with me, whether I wanted it to or not. Like, kind of being a miler is kind of the purest way I think, you can run track and it's the most quantifiable and people say it's kind of like the money making event and everything. And so I really wanted to like be that, but it ended up just being kind of a natural thing where by my senior year, I was so much better at the distance stuff. And the longer I went, the better I got. And it became a thing where it was my dream to, win NCAAs in the 5K and run that school record that had stood for like 50 years and ended up doing that, which was so cool. And doing it, both of those things in the same meet at Oregon. Yeah, it was something that evolved over time and took me looking inward. It took having people who have been in this sport forever to kind of have their eyes on me and be like, no, 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 don't limit yourself to just being this one thing. You have so much more potential in a lot of different areas. So yeah, whether I wanted to or not, I
You did it.
definitely evolved quite a bit and ended up, being in the place that served me best and kind of helped me achieve the goals that I've always wanted to achieve. So yeah, it's been definitely like a bit of a roller coaster, but one that, if you could see the outcome, it wouldn't be fun. So it's cool to be able to
Yeah.
kind of be ever changing and continue to just build on what I've done.
Yeah.
Who
See,
knows, maybe be in a marathon someday.
oh, good for you. I'll cheer you on from the sideline.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Would you say, was there a mental switch when you had to go from the mile to 5K? Did you have to change things in your training, or how? I'm sure you did for training, but did anything really have to change?
Yes and no. I was kind of just really a product of my environment to a certain point. We have such a well-rounded kind of training regimen that I was doing the exact same training as my teammate Cole. And in the same NCAAs, he won the 1500, which is basically like the mile, and I won the 5K. And we were doing the exact same thing. So we almost could have been at a certain point like interchanged and been able to achieve the same things. And so with that, like it was really cool to not really have to fully switch what I was doing. But yeah, mentally I had to kind of be like, okay, this is the new trajectory I'm on. Maybe I have to run a little bit more mileage. I'm not running against the same people I would be running against in the mile. There's a lot of different people with different skill sets. And so you definitely have to do quite a bit of kind of looking inwardly and also looking outwardly at your competition. So definitely have to change quite a bit. But at that time, like I was still such like a wide-eyed kid that
Mhm.
I was going to work my hardest regardless of what I was working towards. So I think now as an athlete, like, I definitely have to work on the mental side a lot more. And there's a lot more that goes into it. I'm more emotionally invested, and I think you kind of learn that once you go out on your own after college, and things aren't just done for you. You have to make things happen yourself. So that's definitely been a bigger transition. But yeah, at the end of the day, like still trying to get the best out of myself. I'm still going to work hard regardless. So that having that as kind of the cornerstone of my mentality is unlocks everything else.
Yeah. What would you say leaving college? Did you have a big plan? Did your coaches kind of say, "Hey, this is what we want for you"? What was your thought process when you were leaving college?
Yeah, I didn't even really know that like professional running, it wasn't really on my radar until maybe my senior year. I was like, oh, this is crazy. Like, I would do this for free, but they're going to pay me. That's insane. So yeah, when I first came out of college, I kind of had this plan to just stay with my college coach, keep training in Oregon. Uh, Things changed. I also have an agent who helps me with a lot of different things, entering meets and gives me a lot of advice. And he was like, you need a more professional setup. And so I ended up actually leaving my college coach and going and joining a professional group with Nike, which changed a lot of things. And I met new people. I kind of left my comfort zone, and it was a big change. And I think my initial plans of just like staying put and doing the same thing and keep getting better kind of flew out the window for what I think was probably the best. Yeah, I mean, it's so nonlinear the way that I ended up actually staying with that team for a year and then coming back to my college coach and moving to Virginia. Not everything is going to work the first try, whether it works for someone else or not. So I definitely, my mindset was always continue to work hard, don't sacrifice. Kind of now that I have a little bit of stability and, this is more than just like something I'm doing, this is my livelihood, I think puts a lot more pressure on performance and the way you approach everything. So that was a little bit
Mhm.
scary, but I tried to kind of cover my bases and continue to be that same curious and excited athlete that I always had been that had got me here. And yeah, it changes so much being 26 now rather than when I was 16 and just getting into it. I know what it takes, But at the same time, like I don't have as much of that. Not that I don't have like the internal drive, but it definitely takes a little bit more than when you are full of energy and you're young and you're just running off, the high of life. And now I roll out of bed and my feet hurt and my knees hurt and I have
Mhm.
to stretch more and I can't just go out and do that thing. So
Right.
it's definitely more meticulous now. But I think the mindset has stayed the same, and in that kind of the journey follows that same sort of path.
Yeah. Would you say there's a difference now in what's considered elite training, kind where you're at? Do you have more of a team? Do you have a lot more expectations? I would say elite athletes are at Oregon and everything, but I think you're at a whole different level now being with Nike, or it's just how is it different as where you are
Yeah.
now?
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely different in the way like I feel like truly you run and you race to the level that you perceive yourself to be at. And so there's kind of these constructs around what a really good high school time is, and then what a really good college time is, and then what the pros should be doing. And once you enter kind of one of those buckets, you feel like you should be there and you're aiming, your goals kind of fall in line with that same thing. And so in college, my goals were to run 13:20 in the 5K. And now you have to run 12:50 in the 5K to be competitive as a professional. And so the way that I approach things and the way that I'm going about training is to be able to do that. And I think that was almost something that was incomprehensible in college, because there are just these kind of parameters that seem they're invisible, they're not real, they're not there, but in your head that's the level that you're allowed to achieve. And so yeah, I do feel like I'm just racing up to the level that I feel personally is where I'm at and like what I should be at. And I'm also racing guys that are a lot faster from all over the world. It's not just, guys in the US that are at
Mhm.
X, Y, or Z college. It's the best people from every continent. That's a really cool and really scary thing sometimes. And so you have to be kind of prepared for anything, whether it's
Mhm.
really fast or it's a slow sit and kick race. There's so many things that could go a lot different. And I think one of the biggest changes is when you're in college, and especially at Oregon, there was an expectation that we were going to be the best and we were training to be at that place. And with that, I just expected to be the best and I ran that way and it worked out like that. And it's really hard to just expect to be the best in the world.
Mhm.
That's a hard thing to wrap your head around. And so there is a little bit more swing in the way that you feel going into races. There'll be days where you feel like the fastest guy in the world and there's nothing that can take that away from you. And then there's days where you're like, I don't know if I should go out there. Like I'm not ready.
Mhm.
There's really good guys. So yeah, it's totally different just making that jump and calling yourself a professional and trying to get into these races that have world record holders and national record holders and things like that. So yeah, you kind of punch up to the level that you perceive yourself to be at.
Yeah. Is there someone in the 5K in a different country that you like to run with? You like to run again? I say run with, but you're kind of running against because obviously there's going to be one winner. Do you train with any of these guys?
Yeah, there's so many guys. There's a lot of really good Europeans. A lot of the African countries create really, really great athletes. And so like I ran a race in Oslo, Norway earlier this year and there was about 20 guys in it and from all over the world. And it was like so cool to be able to look over and see the Kenyan national record holder and the Norwegian national record holder and everywhere in between. And then
Mhm.
some other guys from the US. And yeah, it's definitely I wouldn't say there's like one person I look forward to like racing or I really like to, but my training partner Cole Hawker, he actually won the world championships in the 5K this past year and he won the gold medal at the Olympics. And like that's kind of the standard that I feel like I'm at and that I'm training with and I'm trying to live up to. So in that I would say he's probably one of my favorite people to race and
Awesome.
train with too. So yeah, you got to surround yourself with great athletes. I think
Mhm.
high tide lifts all boats, and in that way, totally applies to training as well. So yeah, it's just cool. It's really cool opportunities.
Yeah. When they pick a 5K, is it just kind of you go to a city, you go to a natural area? Is it Are you running around a track? How are you competing in these 5Ks?
Yeah. Yeah, usually it's on a track. I've done road races as well, but like the majority of what I'm doing these days is just on the track. Right now in the winter we do indoor track. So it's a 200-meter track instead of a 400-meter track. I was just this past weekend in New York racing kind of a world gold level meet with one of the most. I ran the 2 mile and one of the best 2 mile fields ever assembled. And yeah, it was really cool. And they kind of just pick a spot and, a lot of the meets will fly you out and put you up and yeah, feed you and everything. So
Yeah.
it's really cool. And yeah, then you just go out there and compete. And it's really cool being able to do this. And, there's prize money and
Mhm.
it's really like a pretty well put together thing. And one of the biggest things that kind of is your indication of how well you're doing and how well you're competing is they have a full like ranking system where you get your world ranking. And yeah, so you're just kind of always trying to run faster and move up the world rankings and everything. So yeah, it's definitely it's a pretty crazy thing and it opens a lot of doors and I get to go to really cool places. And
Yeah. Where are you in the world ranking, if you mind my asking?
I think I'm like 20th.
Okay. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool and hoping to, keep on moving up.
Yeah.
And
Keep on keeping on.
yeah,
I love it.
so yeah, it's pretty cool.
What would you say? Okay, earlier you talked about prehab and rehab. Can you kind of go through what prehab means to you? And is that more of something when you do prehab? Is that something that like I should be doing before going on a run or and then recovery. Let's talk about recovery too. So tell me about prehab.
Yeah, prehab is something that really I only started doing kind of this year. I used to be able to roll out of bed and go run 5 minutes later, and now I'm getting older. I've been doing this a long time, and I think the biggest thing for me that comes with doing prehab is like knowing my strengths and my weaknesses. So I worked with a PT and kind of have this routine that is comprised of just some mobility stuff that really helps you get loose and feel like, your first mile you run, you don't feel like you're breaking your legs. You actually can feel a little bit refreshed and feel like you're going out and can enjoy it, which is really nice. And then as well on that front is working on some of the things and some of the areas where I'm not super strong. So for me, like my ankles, I've like rolled my ankles a bunch of times just running on trails and things. So
Mhm.
I need quite a bit of mobility and strength work through that. And so I try to maybe 3 times a week do, and it's not even a ton of stuff. It's just like go out and do some ankle movements and
Mhm.
some strengthening and just kind of work through those routines. Can be anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes. And
Mhm.
it's so helpful and it helps your form not break down. It helps you feel better while you're running. It keeps you as far away as possible from injury, which
Mhm.
is really good. And yeah, so for me it's identifying those things that need work and also doing everything you can to, make a run feel great when you're starting.
Right.
So that's definitely prehab for me. And on the other end of things, like the recovery side, I think there's so many different things and studies that are coming out about ways to recover faster. I think one of the biggest things that people didn't used to do was fueling. And I think on a personal or well, more on like like high level running, people used to think I have to be as light as possible.
Mhm.
I have to be on a very strict diet. I need to, the lighter I am, the faster I can run. And
Mhm.
that idea has changed so much. You're so much better off fueling your body. If you're hungry, eat. You need to like satiate yourself. You have to feel like you are getting all your nutrients. There's so many supplements that you can take that can also help you build muscle and just like everything in between. And
Mm.
you're seeing a little bit more like less sickly looking athletes and more really strong looking athletes,
Yeah.
which I personally think is so great and like
Mhm.
such a good mindset shift. And especially for the average person, like you don't have to look a certain way to be able to run really well. And like what it is about understanding your individual needs and being able to fulfill those
Mm.
and not cut corners. So for me, that's been a huge thing, a huge part of recovery. And yeah, just listening to my body. I
Mhm.
do quite a bit of like the sauna is really great for recovery, ice bath, stuff like that. I do like red light therapy, which is really cool. It's something that I just started incorporating a little more. So, I mean, there's like 100 different modalities that you can
Right.
use these days. I think a lot of them are maybe very like fractionally helpful. I think if you are eating right, you're sleeping well, and you're listening to your body, those are the three keys to recovering in a
Mhm.
timely fashion and keeping yourself on the other side of an injury.
Right. What would you say is the biggest injury that runners face?
It's hard to say. There's some people like I think the biggest thing that keep a lot of people out are bone injuries. Things like I mean that's one of the biggest things I've had. I had a stress fracture in my tibia, my lower leg, and stress fractures definitely are pretty common, especially if you are, don't really know what kind of shoes you're running in, and maybe you're running in something that doesn't support you in the right way. And a lot of people these days are just pounding the pavement. And I think like finding soft surface to run on is so helpful.
Like a track?
Track or a trail or anything kind of in between. So like I often go up to the Oakland Hills and I'll
Mhm.
run up there, and there's kind of just dirt trails, and that's super helpful. And I think people are just running in like the carbon plated super shoes for everything. And those are built to just racing. If you're doing
Mhm.
easy mileage, like you're going to get hurt probably, and you're probably going to get a stress fracture, and that's going to be hard to deal with, and you're not going to want to run, and you're going to think it's kind of seems like a lot of people think it's a pay to play situation. I'll
Mhm.
get the most expensive shoes and I'll run faster,
Right.
quicker. It's just not what you need to do. You need to find something that works for you,
Right.
and something that, like, honestly, majority of running stores now will do a gait analysis and tell you
Mhm.
what you need a stability shoe, get this Nike Brooks, whatever shoe.
Right.
Uh, and it's as easy as that. And just like covering those bases is so important.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, that's what
and
you're running in,
exactly.
and
Uh,
that's who you are. So that's your equipment sort of per se. And so, yeah, I mean, running shoes have evolved a lot since, I was running not that long ago, but I'm not gonna reveal my age entirely, but I feel like running shoes have completely evolved, and I feel like for me, it's definitely changed in the amount of how much you should be running in your shoes. I would say I probably overdid it, and there's probably a certain amount of miles or a certain I mean, how often should you be changing your shoes?
it kind of depends on what you're putting into the shoes, I guess. If you have one pair of shoes that you're using for your easy runs, your workouts, you're going to the gym in them, you're walking around work in them, that probably needs to be switched out more than if you maybe have two pairs of shoes. We use one for workout days and you use one for easy days. Like, you can get away with wearing shoes quite a bit. I think things have evolved massively. Like since I was in high school, the technology in the shoes, and I feel like when I was younger, it was all about having the most minimal and the lightest shoe
Mhm.
possible. And now it's all about like keeping you as far away from the ground. It's almost like bringing that soft surface with you with all of the different foams and things that they have. Like I run for Nike, and obviously like they have like the Zoom X foam, and they have shoes that are 2 inches off the ground,
Mhm.
and like, you can probably run in those quite a bit longer, and it's will be less impactful than if it was 10 years ago when you're running in this lightest shoes you can, and they're
Yeah.
wearing down, and you're a fraction of an inch away from the ground. Like, you
Right.
might as well be running barefoot. You got to switch those out way more often. So
Right.
I think we're really lucky. I mean, shoes are more expensive now, but I think we're really lucky in the way
Right.
that like there are options and there's things that can really help you stay injury free. And
Mhm.
you don't have to, switch out as often.
Right.
But I would say like a good rule of thumb is probably like 300 miles.
Okay.
And that might be different for like, I mean, that's kind of like, I guess, the benchmark that I use for my shoes,
Right.
which is probably different than a lot of people just because I
Me.
run a lot more mileage every week. And that's like, 4 weeks of running for me. Whereas like a lot of people can probably keep a pair of shoes for 6 months and
Yeah,
be fine with
I
that.
easily. I would say for me, I mean, I'm only running once a week, probably 3.5 miles, so I've got quite a few months on those babies, yeah.
Yeah, like that's great. You can like you don't always have to have the newest shoe and
Yeah.
the freshest shoe. Like as long as you have something that works for you, and you'll be able to tell when a shoe is truly dead
Yeah.
and not
Yeah.
working for you anymore. So I think, again, listen to your body, listen to what that's telling you.
Yeah. I agree. I feel like it's so interesting because for me personally, I just went and when I was trying on shoes, I don't like the clouds that are like this thick. And for me, I was telling her, I was like, I want to be closer to the ground. I'm like, dang it. Am I just totally not doing it?
No, and I think, like, again, it's personal preference. What
Right.
works for 10 other people might not work for you.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's totally personal preference. And that's why there are
A
brands that
million
make
shoes.
50 different shoes. And yeah, there's 50 different brands. Like,
It's
do
wild.
what works for you. And
Yeah.
like, that might be what your body's more used to because you're more used to, those older shoes. Like, I was the
Pounding the
same way for a
pavement.
while. I was pretty hard headed about switching to these big shoes now, to be
Yeah.
fair. But yeah, it's all personal preference.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. What would you say winning the 2024 US cross country title after leaving Bowerman Track Club? What did that season teach you about patience and change?
Yeah, I mean, that was really hard, and I was leaving kind of a tried and true, like, almost guarantee of a certain amount of success and going out a bit on a limb and moving across the country and trying something new, and it's really scary and, uh, hard to kind of grapple with the idea that this might work, this might not work. And but for me, it was a thing of like I could be good here, or I could be really great somewhere else, and I have
Mhm.
to like trust myself, and I have to know what I'm getting out of these things. And that, I think, was like such a like bout of maturity that I hadn't really tapped into before. And that's really scary, and being like, I'm making this decision and it's on me, and it's the outcome is entirely my fault, whether it's a great thing or a bad thing. And that's really scary. And but at the same time, like, I went out and continued to, do the things that I know how to do best. And it kind of resulted in really great thing and a really well-rounded thing. And being
Mhm.
able to go out and win cross country and win a national title is that was just kind of the seal of approval on top of that. And it gave me a lot more confidence in myself and like gave me a little bit more validity in my ability to know what I need and trust myself and actually go out on a limb and do these things that maybe 9 out of 10 other people wouldn't do,
Mhm.
because there's security and opportunity, and I don't think those things live in the same world, especially when you're trying to do something at the highest level. So, like I said earlier, like, there's such a finite amount of time that you get to do this, and I want to I want to find out how good I can be, and I don't want to, be forced into retirement and have these what ifs.
Right.
And so for me, that was really cool to be able to go out and listen
Have
to
that.
myself and actually get something very tangible out of it. So
Yeah.
that was super cool and something that I'll definitely never forget. And one of the highlights of my career so far.
Yeah. Well, it's gratifying when you make that decision yourself and it works out.
Really. And that's something that I hadn't really done like most of my life. Like, up to high school, your parents make a lot of decisions for
Mhm.
you. You do what you're told, your coaches make decisions. And then going to college, it was kind of the same way. You have a schedule that someone else makes,
Mhm.
and most of your life is kind of outlined. And then you go into this scary place where you're thrown into the world and you don't know a lot about how to navigate it. You don't know a lot about yourself. Like, you have to learn all these things. And so to be able to kind of realize that and have it come to the forefront and have it actually be a positive was super cool and something that I think I needed as just a
Mhm.
person to move
Yeah.
forward in my life.
Yeah. That's awesome. So you've been close to Olympic teams. How do you measure success when outcomes don't go your way?
It's hard. It's definitely really hard. 2021, I got fourth at the Olympic trials in the 5K, and the top three made the team. So that was, a fraction of a second that to a lifelong dream. So it's hard to see it in the moment, but a lot of times these things build a lot of character and help motivate you and kind of set fire under you. But I really try to just give myself a small amount of time to feel whatever it is that I need to feel, whether that's really happy about a great race or really disappointed about a race
Mhm.
that, maybe I lost out on something really important to me. But the biggest thing is to not is to find ways to not carry that with you. I think if you are putting all of your worth into one specific event, if it goes great, then great. But if it doesn't, then it kind of shatters your whole world. And I've gotten to a point where I feel like I am very, very level-headed in not putting all of my worth into one thing or another, seeing myself as like a holistic person and understanding the places I've come from and the places I want to go, and that not everything is going to go perfect, but it is a thing of you build character, and there's a lesson in everything you do, and a lot of the most important lessons you're going to learn are going to be from failure and not success. So I wouldn't want to have something, a career where everything just works out and I don't know what losing or failing feels like. So trying to keep that perspective while also like giving myself time to process, my emotions and be able to still, go out and blow off a little steam and then come back and be better for it.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to take this. If you could rewind the clock and pick a different sport, what would you play?
I don't think I would do like really a traditional sport. I grew up doing a lot of like skateboarding and like skiing and stuff like that. So I think that would definitely be more of the route I would go towards. And at the best hand-eye baseball, I was terrible at baseball. I was decent at basketball. I was maybe decent, borderline decent at soccer. I was pretty good at lacrosse. Like all of these things I tried my hand at, but like it is those things where I can just kind of refine my own skills and work on stuff like that. Plus, I feel like I just have FOMO, not like there's a certain amount of stuff that you just can't do when you're running and like you run for a certain brand or whatever. You don't want to be in a place where you can hurt yourself. So I think I would go back and be in a place where I could hurt myself. Have to feel bad about it. It's a blessing that I forget about.
Yeah, totally. That's for sure. All right, last question. I ask all my guests this. So, if you had to pick one food that you could eat every day without consequences, what would it be?
Have you ever had the like soft Oreo cakesters?
No.
I just had them for the first time in like years. Literally after my race this weekend, I went to like the little corner store and I saw them and I was like, I'm going to try those. I haven't had those since I was a kid. They're the most delicious thing ever. But I was like, I cannot eat all of these because I'm going to feel terrible about myself.
Yeah.
That would be a very nice guilty pleasure.
That would be it for
That would be a very nice guilty pleasure to be able to do that and feel good about it.
Yeah, I love that.
That's the biggest thing, feeling good about it. So that's my thing. And I think you should go out and try them.
Yeah.
It's very much worth it.
I love Oreos. So they're squishy little cakes.
Yeah, they're like Oreos on crack. They're just like light and fluffy. Oh, they're so good.
Right. Now, do you dip it in milk or do you just eat it by itself?
I think it would be like overkill to do milk with those.
Okay.
With regular Oreos for sure.
Okay.
But with those you gotta go solo.
All right. I'm in. Don't threaten me with a good time.
What is yours?
Mine is a bagel and cream cheese.
The bagel and cream cheese like every day. It's so good.
Okay. I mean, I'm pretty close to your age, so I probably could too. But I would definitely like a proper bagel with great cream cheese.
Yeah, that's fair. Like some really good. Yeah.
Yeah, not just like grocery store bought. It's got to be like a New York bagel.
Staple. Yeah.
Really fluffy cream cheese. And the more cream cheese, the better. I want to see like an inch thick of cream cheese.
Yeah, you need it like coming out of the sides when you take a bite.
Yeah.
That's the best.
Like questionable food all over me at that point. So for sure.
Fair enough. Right.
Well, Cooper, thank you so very much for joining me. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy.
Yeah, thank you again for having me on. And glad it worked out. Go take my nap after this and then get back to it.
I love it. Take one for all of us.
You got it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Gemma, let's talk about it. Cooper Teare is such a nice young man to talk to. And he grew up here in Alameda. And I have such a fascination about running and people who like to do it for a living and especially the long distance running. I have a love-hate relationship with it. So I think just kind of it's nice to hear when athletes who have moments of, I have that moment where it's like I have to convince myself to put one foot in front of the other because it can be draining. Tell me one thing, or what did you feel about his interview, or I guess his background?
I felt he was so well composed, so inspirational, I, it just made me, it was very clear how sharp his mind is from running and having that time and insight for himself. I think you do, when you're running, you have a lot of time to think too,
Mm,
which is incredibly important, along with the discipline. And the fact, like he said, I get to run and get paid for it is pretty cool. And
mhm.
so, yeah, I was very impressed. I loved the interview.
Yeah, I found it inspirational that, he was so close to making the Olympics and he was just there and didn't do it. And then it's like, how do you come back from that? Basically the question that I had asked you, it's how do you get so close to something you've been wanting and you don't make it? And then it's okay, now I have to get back out in a couple days and start all over again and get a new goal and get out there. And I find that it's really a mental thing as well because you can just be down and be like, okay, I've had a good run. I mean, pun intended, I guess. And it's or you have to mentally break out of that and just be like, okay, I'm going to take this day and I'm going to feel bad for myself. I'm gonna eat a whole thing of Taco Bell and
Or
then
stuffed Oreos, his favorite thing.
I guess I'm projecting on yeah, and then you're either like, I'm either going to move forward and continue on and then just be like, "Okay, I'm gonna be ready and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna have a goal." And maybe it's just a smaller goal to build up to getting back to the next round of Olympics. Are you too old for that? I mean, I don't feel like at this point nobody's too old. I mean, look at Lindsey Vonn. And she made I mean, we just saw how that went, unfortunately, but I don't know that age had anything to play with that, but, I mean, who knows? But I feel like it's a big mental moment where you have to just say, "Okay, buck up. I'm gonna get back out there." He's also got people behind him and sponsorships that are like, "No, you can't. Sorry. You've signed this waiver saying you're gonna continue on for however long."
Also, with these athletes, it's not just that they're training their body, they're training their mind, they're training their mentality.
Mhm,
And so not only has he been training his body for this moment, but he's been training his mind for this moment as well.
mhm,
So I think I felt, I had a long think about it, and it's not the same for you and I. We can't put it, for you and I, if we're this close to making it in the Olympics, we would fit, it feels like a bigger mountain to climb, right? To get out of the
mhm,
saddle or get back on the saddle, so to speak.
mhm,
But for him, he's been mentally training, winning and losing races or saying I'm going to be first and coming in second, and had all these mini wins and mini failures along the
mhm,
way. So I think it's a different perspective from his angle, and it's almost a win in his book to get that. I know that's crazy to say, close to the Olympics, but
mm,
to get that close and then to still keep going. Like that's
yeah.
all to me, that's just as equal of a win as actually winning. I know that's wild to say, but it's still that, he's trained for that moment. I don't
Mhm.
know. That's just my 2 cents, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I think
Yeah.
too, it's such a sport. I think sports are, like we've talked about, mental and physical. But for me personally, I feel like running is a big mental game. And I don't know if it's just because I'm not a runner like him. I run, but I'm not a runner. And I just wonder if it's maybe when I'm playing the sport that I love and I'm in it and I'm doing it, it's fine. And, I've got to get my mental game going. But you're just in your thoughts the whole time. And
Yeah.
that I don't know that I want to do that all the time.
People need to do that. It's
Yeah.
their, I mean,
Yeah.
I got 3 kids, it's When I go for a run, I used to go for a run for many, many years, 20 years or whatever. I just stopped running about a year and a half ago. And
Mhm.
it's funny because I said to Tom, my husband, God, I miss running. And then you sent me this interview, and I thought it was very timely. But maybe that's the only 45 minutes of peace someone has when they
Mhm.
go out for a
Mhm.
run. And it does force you to be in the moment. You have to be in the moment. That's with any sport, right?
Mhm.
You have to be in the moment. So,
Yeah.
and with running, different than any other sport, you're in the moment entirely with yourself. You're not, obviously he's running against other people, but when you're training, right?
Mhm.
And going out for these long runs, you have a lot of mental training, I think, in that time as well to think about, especially with
Yeah.
your career, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And you've got the preparation, and I think recovery these days for them is a big thing, and him just being able to have the people around him to help with the recovery, and that's also the mental aspect of recovering and kind of getting your game plan, and also just being present in, like, I'm not running today. I'm just going to scroll on TikTok all day, and I'm just going to let that be my recovery day. I don't know what he does, but I'm just saying, whatever,
Scrolling
whatever.
Taco Bell,
Yes.
TikTok and Taco Bell.
Are we talking about me today?
I'm just saying.
Scrolling TikTok and Taco Bell. My God, everybody's starting to really get to know me. Well, I thought that he, going from Oregon and then being sponsored, I think being sponsored, I think would make me have a lot of anxiety, because I feel like that would be a lot of pressure to, being sponsored by Nike and being sponsored. I just feel like you have this persona, and there's always somebody behind you just waiting to take that. And so it's great to have that, but I feel like I'd have anxiety, but other people have such probably better points of view of, like, no, I got a sponsorship. I'm a badass, and I'm just going to keep on going, and I'm just going to do it and let them take it from me. Let's see. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I think it validates all of his hard work and his perseverance, and it sounded like he was having fun. Like
Mhm.
he genuinely enjoys what he does. And so I
Yeah.
think that, being sponsored and supportive is just adding to that joy for him
Mhm.
and validating his position in this life, which is to be an amazing competitive runner and inspire other people to
Yeah.
do so.
Yeah. So
Not to
did he
say it wouldn't give me anxiety as well to have to answer to somebody, but like we've
Yeah.
all got to answer to somebody.
Yeah.
It might as
Yeah.
well be doing something you love to answer to someone. I
Oh,
don't.
yeah, and get paid for it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I
be fit and mentally fit
mm,
from it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What, did he inspire you to start running again?
He actually did. I know it's so cliche. I'm on this thing and, oh, he inspired me. But he actually did. I promise
Yeah.
you. Hand to heart, he
Good.
did. Yeah.
Good.
Whether I'll find the time to do it or not, that's a whole nother story. But he
Start
did.
with your
He
mind.
absolutely
Start
did.
with your
Yes.
mind, and
I'm already on a trail somewhere. I'll tell you that much.
we're not even having this conversation right
Yeah.
now.
No, but that I think also taking care of your body, I had said to Tom, I'm too old for it now. And I think what he did was he inspired me of like, no, take part of running at any age is doing the pre-work and the post-work to
Mhm.
honor your body and what you're putting it through. But I miss the time to think and the mental, again, pushing yourself one foot in front of the other
Mhm.
when sometimes it sucks.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I appreciate that. I think, yeah, I wish I could say I was inspired. I'm just not at that place right now. I when I was talking to him before, I'm just really wanting to I need something to just be like, all right, get on it. You love it. You're feeling it. I think the thing about running is you have to take it in small doses and build up to it. You can't really expect to come out and do what you used to do. And
No.
obviously, we're not the same age that we were in doing those things, but just to get out there and to be able to start to do it and hold yourself accountable, I think is something to be said. It's just everybody has a different way of being held accountable. And, I think having a partner or just if you can mentally get yourself out there by yourself, I applaud that because it just getting out, I think, is the first step for sure.
Yeah, and I think like he said, he was like basically signing yourself up for a run, but 5K or whatnot. Then you know, D-Day comes, you got to run that 5K. And not really, you could probably walk it, but D-Day for
Yeah, yeah.
yourself and training and saying, I've got to get out there, otherwise I'm going to hurt myself, or that you have a goal to get to. I think that's one way to sort of get
Yeah.
started.
Well, around
Try
all
to
those
get out the door
people.
every day.
Yeah,
Sorry.
just being inspired by being around all those people and everything. It's when you're doing a race like that, it is inspiring because then you're kind of like, shoot, no, okay, fine, I'll run. But I
Yeah,
know I'm running at
exactly.
least with other people, and yeah, no, it's definitely inspiring. So, well, thank
I
you, Miss
loved all his
Gemma.
quotes too. Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
what, tell me one of his quotes that you.
I love the put yourself in the rising waters or whatever, and you will rise with them. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah. I
loved it.
mean, he's very mature and I think wise beyond his years, I would say.
Yeah.
Um, I
But the
think that
question is that from all that running?
what are you saying? We should be running and we'd be wise beyond our years?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay, shall we make that a date every Thursday that we're just
Yeah,
gonna run and run and run and run and then we're just gonna be smarter than everyone and wise beyond our years?
that's right. I'd say so.
All
So
right.
that,
I mean, we've got a lot of homework to do, Gemma.
yeah, we do. That's for sure. Rock,
All
paper,
right.
scissors tournaments,
Yeah,
and
yeah. We'll do it before we leave and when we get back and see whose mental clarity is better.
yeah, it's going to be yours. I guarantee it.
I highly doubt it. All right. Well, thank you, Gemma. And on
Thank
that note,
you.
let's wrap things up. We are talking about if staying calm under pressure was easy, everyone would do it. But when it actually works, it might look a lot like Grace Nah. She's got the accolades, the discipline, and the mindset it takes to compete in a sport where every shot starts with you alone. Gemma, she's Grace is going to be joining us next week. And thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.